Hello, and welcome to a Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness video, where today we will be tackling the game with the Marowak line. Now, this is the start of the spooky season in terms of my Pokemon videos, and I'm starting today with the original Gen 1 Creepypasta Pokemon, which was at the top of the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, where you saw a whole bunch of ghost types and a whole bunch of graveyards. It was pretty cool, but at the top of the tower, you end up encountering a ghost who you can't actually attack or hurt until you get the Sylph Scope, but it turns out to be a ghost Marowak. So, I decided to start out spooky season with the first spooky Pokemon. And with that being said, let's go ahead and go over Cubone's base stats. It has 50 HP, 50 attack, 95 defense, 40 special attack, 50 special defense, and 35 speed, and gets access to a lot of normal ground, ice, fire, and fighting moves, so a decent amount of type coverage. The only real issue I see with Cubone at this point is that it has a really low speed stat, meaning that even early on I might not be able to outspeed things that could do super effective damage. But with any luck, my 95 defense will be able to keep me alive. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into the game. Our Cubone has a naughty nature, raising its attack but lowering its special defense. Now if you saw the special defense, it was already quite low, so that means that water type moves and grass type moves are going to be doing so much more damage to me, especially in the late game. But hopefully with that extra attack it won't matter, and I gave it the Rock Head ability. Now you can either get Rock Head or Lightning Rod, but since I'm already a ground type, Lightning Rod does basically nothing. So I went with Rock Head, which gets rid of any recoil damage from moves, so Double Edge is going to be pretty good. And for its level up learn set, according to Bulbapedia, it gets Bone Club, Growl, and Tail Whip, and Bone Club only has 85% accuracy, so I could see that being very annoying early on. Anyway, at level 13, I get the move Headbutt, a consistent normal type move with a good chance for flinching, and as usual, I think with a lot of weaker Pokemon, this is usually the fight to see just how well they're going to do throughout the run. And both of these Pokemon have super effective damage against me, so if I get hit by one of them, okay, a critical hit nearly took me down in a single hit. That's kind of scary, but luckily the Shroomish just went for Tackle here, and Headbutt gets a crit and takes it down. But you can see that I definitely could have lost that. Now, as usual, we go to the Power Rangers here, and we gotta pick one. I originally chose Electric, because I thought it wouldn't matter too much, but Electric beat me, so here's Fire, which I beat with relative ease. And so I enter the building, and I forget that Duskull has Levitate. So, I go over to the tutor lady, go pick up the move Mimic, teach that right away, over Growl, because I'd rather have lower defense on the opposing Pokemon. And I use Mimic on the Nightshade. And now that I have Nightshade, I should be able to take it down. Okay, maybe I lied, but I beat him on the second attempt with this strategy. Anyway, at level 25 I get access to the move Bone Meringue, which is a 90% accurate move with 50 base power, but it hits twice, so effectively it's 100 base power. So I'm going to teach that over Bone Club, and that's going to be our go-to ground move for much of this game. And at level 28, Cubone evolves into Marowak, which is going to be quite helpful because Cubone is quite weak. Anyway, with a new Pokemon means new stats. And for base stats, Marowak has 60 HP, 80 attack, 110 defense, 50 special attack, 80 special defense, and 45 speed. So, unfortunately still quite slow, but now at least the special defense is decent, and I hit a little harder, which will be helpful for the first boss of the game, which is Lavrina. She leads with a Love Disc and a Beautifly, and I go for Bone Meringue into Love Disc immediately, and I'm able to take it down. Out comes Roselia. Beautifly uses Absorb, actually doing quite a bit of damage to me. I use another Bone Meringue to take down the Roselia in a single hit. Out comes Delcatty, her Shadow Pokemon and strongest Pokemon. So I go for another Bone Meringue. Unfortunately, I am slower, so it does get an attack off, but I don't miss, and I'm able to take it down in a single hit. Now it's just the Beautifly left. I go for Headbutt. It's not quite a one-shot, and I don't get the flinch, but I'm able to take her down first attempt. And we move on to the obligatory Mirror B mention. Hello Mirror B, good to see you're schmoving through this month. Anyway, at the Real Gam Tower, I pick up my two favorite TMs, which is Hidden Power and Protect. And I didn't plan this, but our Hidden Power type is actually Hidden Power Ghost, which is convenient for the month. Anyway, we move on to Snaddle. I go for Bone Ring and miss. Rock Tomb comes out, lowering my speed, but I'm already pretty slow anyway. Another Water Gun. Bone Ring works this time. Out comes Lunatone, and the Hidden Power Ghost should actually come in handy here. I go for Hidden Power. Shadow Rave hits me, and I lose. Okay, never mind. And this is now attempt number 6, and the main reason is because Hidden Power Ghost, just at that level, wasn't quite enough to take down the Lunatone. But after a few more levels, I'm able to take it down in a single hit, which just makes the entire battle really easy, as long as I don't miss a whole bunch of Bone Meringues. And so, Fruity Pebbles rain down, I use Bone Meringue. Oh, and as long as I don't get confused as well, I take down the Quagsire here, because after it uses a few Rock Tombs, it's going to switch to Ice Punch, which does quite a bit of damage, and has the chance to freeze, which I don't really want to get. Anyway, I go for Bone Meringue, take down the Metang, and one last Bone Meringue should take down the Castform. Unless I go for Headbutt. Headbutt works too. Anyway, Snaddle took quite a few attempts, but not too bad. Right before this next fight against a whole bunch of grass types, I decided to teach Ice Beam, and Ice Beam's going to be useful throughout the game as well. And we move on to the next boss of the game, which is Gonzap. This is the second attempt, because the first attempt I walked in paralyzed and at half health. So I go for Bone Meringue here to take down the Electrode. Out comes Vileplume. Hyper Beam comes out, so it'll be recharging next turn. I go for Ice Beam, and luckily it is actually able to take down the Vileplume in a single hit. And now that Whiscash is out, I switch over to Bone Meringue once again and one-shot it. And now Skarmory is really the biggest threat because I don't have anything to hit it well. I go for Headbutt here to hope for a flinch, which I do get. And I go for another to take down the Nuzleaf. And Hyper Beam comes out, and I decide to swap over to Ice Beam to see how much that does, and it would have been a two-shot with Ice Beam. So I should have just started with that from the start, but oh well. At the top of the pyramid, I get the move Earthquake, which is just going to be a better Bone Meringue because it has 100% accuracy. And then we move on to Gorgon. I go for Headbutt, not quite enough to take down the Celio, but I do get a flinch, so I'm able to take it down with an Earthquake this turn. And then out comes the Slowking and the Ursaring. I go for Hidden Power into Slowking because it is half Psychic type, but not enough to take it down. But it does guarantee that Earthquake will take it down, so I go for Earthquake and take down both the Pokemon. And then out comes Primeape, his first Shadow Pokemon, and out comes Hypno, his second Shadow Pokemon. And I'm almost certain Earthquake will take them both down, and takes down the Primeape, and takes down the Hypno, so an easy first try on Gorgon. Now before I move on to the final area of the game, I'm going to teach Double Edge over Headbutt, because it's 120 base power, and I don't take recoil damage. So it's just going to be better all around. And I also picked up a little something from the lab, which will come in handy later. Anyway, Marowak's doing fairly well, so let's see how it does in the last area of the game. Our first battle is a rematch against Lovrina, and I'm just going to go for Earthquake to take down both of our Pokemon. And that's because I'm a female, and I really don't want to get attracted by any of the male Pokemon, so I actually decide to take down the Roselia here as well. I do risk being confused, but I think with my high defense stat, confusion isn't going to be too bad. I go for Ice Beam to take down the Altaria. Shadow Sky comes out, so now I can't heal. And I go for one more Ice Beam, and I don't get confused once. Okay, well at the top of the mountain, I run into Snaddle once again. I go for Earthquake to take down both of his Pokemon. And then out comes Scizor and Solrock. Now Solrock is going to just set up Shadow Sky, so I go for Hidden Power here to hopefully take it down, but not quite. But I do outspeed, so that is very nice. I will be able to take it down this turn. And then out comes Castform. Steel Wing hits, not doing too much damage to me. I go for another Earthquake. And I'm actually able to take down the Scizor and the Castform. Okay, well there's a good chance I don't outspeed this Starmie, but I think with over half health I should be able to survive in a hit. And I do, and Earthquake takes it down. So that was an easy first try. Anyway, we move on to Ardos, and he leads with an Alakazam and a Shadow Swallow. The Swallow sets up Shadow Sky the first turn, and Alakazam goes for Ice Punch, doing quite a bit of damage to me, but I'm able to take it down in a single hit. Out comes Kingdra, and Kingdra could definitely be very scary, because I don't think I've ever seen it miss a Hydro Pump. So I go for Double Edge to take it down, but it's not quite a one-shot, and I go down instantly. So I decide to go ahead and teach Protect here, because if Shadow Sky can chip it down just a little more, I should be able to take it down. But that strategy didn't quite work, so after 5 more attempts, I land on this one, where the Swallow has decided to change up its strategy and start using Shadow Half every turn, basically. So I go for Protect here to make sure I don't get hit by it. Now I can take down the Kingdra 100%, and Kingdra goes down. Then out comes Heracross. I go for Protect once again, and the Swallow is going to use Shadow Half again, which takes the only Pokemon that can really resist my attack down to half, which should be a one-shot now with Earthquake. But this turn I decide to actually take down the Swallow because, honestly, the Heracross isn't too big a threat on the first turn, it's only on the second and further, and hopefully I can still outspeed with only 1 speed drop. Anyway, I go for Earthquake. Should be a one-shot on Electabuzz, but it goes first, and Mega Horn goes first, so I do take quite a bit of damage. And then out comes his final Pokemon, which is Snorlax. In the previous attempt at level 72, I couldn't quite take it down with a single Earthquake, but now at level 73, I can. So, with that, we move on to Gorgon once again, and this is just going to be spamming Earthquake, basically, because it works really well. Anyway, Walrein comes out, Poliwrath comes out, go for another Earthquake, take them both down in a single hit, and then out comes his final Pokemon, which is just a Mr. Mime, and one more Earthquake does it, and we win. Okay, now to move on to the most important fight of the run, which is Eldis. I go for Earthquake here to take down the Manectric, but unfortunately I am slower than it, so it's able to set up Shadow Sky, so I won't be healing anymore. So, now that the Shadow Sky is up, I'm going to be protecting every other turn, and to try to stall out the amount of Silver Winds the Ninjask has as well, so it doesn't get Omni Boost nearly as frequently. Anyway, with Ice Beam, I should be able to take down the Salamence, and then out comes Flygon. The Fruity Pebbles rain down. I go for another Protect here, and then after this next turn, the Ninjask will be out of Silver Winds and will start using Protect, which is perfect for the strategy I'm doing, because, oh, that's an unfortunate crit. I go for Ice Beam, take down the Flygon, and because I know the Ninjask is going to Protect this turn, I can do what I've wanted to do. Before I left the mainland, I went and talked to the professor once again, and picked up the Master Ball to catch this Marowak specifically. And now his last Pokemon comes out, which is a Lapras, and I decide to take it down with Earthquake. And I don't know why Protect failed that first turn when I threw the Master Ball, but anyway, it uses Protect again, which means that I get a free turn to attack, and Lapras goes down. Fruity Pebbles rain down. I go for Double Edge, but I can't really do anything, and as long as I don't get crit, this should be an easy win. Aerial Ace doesn't do much, and Ninjask goes down. And the reason I caught that Marowak was because it's holding the Thick Club item, which doubles my attack stat. So I should be doing insane amounts of damage. So I brazenly just go for Double Edge here, and nearly one-shot Lugia. Which, if you didn't know, Lugia is super tanky. Unfortunately, it does crit me and beat me on the first attempt. So, second attempt, I take it down, and we move on to the final fight. Now, there's a reason it's a little slow, and that's because, I kinda lost the first attempt super quickly. Anyway, using the rest of my rare candies, I go back into it. Double Edge takes down the Moltres in a single hit. Out comes Executor. Shadow End hits, taking me down pretty low. I go for Earthquake, which surprisingly even takes down the Executor. with a single hit, despite the fact that it resists it. Out comes Articuno and Tauros. Tauros is definitely not a threat here because it's going to set up Shadow Sky and then do Shadow Hold. I'm able to take down the Articuno in a single hit. Out comes Zapdos. And Fruity Pebbles finish me off. Okay, well, level 82, I still lose. Level 83, I still lose. And level 84, I still lose. However, at level 85, I am now actually faster than the Articuno, which means that this is doable as long as I do not get hit by the Rhydon. And that's the only luck I need, basically. So, next attempt, I go for Double Edge, and I get crit by the Moltres, so I lose. Okay, next attempt, I get hit by the Rhydon, so I lose. The next attempt after that, I get hit by the Rhydon and lose. The next attempt after that, I get burnt, so I don't do enough damage and I lose. The next attempt after that, I get hit by the Rhydon and lose. And the next attempt after that, I once again get hit by the Rhydon and lose. And honestly, it was getting really frustrating because it's a 50-50 move, and it just kept hitting. But eventually, at level 89, I succeeded, and I beat the game. And I quit the game, and I looked at the video, and it corrupted. The attempt at which I had finally won, after doing an extra 25 or so minutes of attempts, because it went from level 85 to 89. I just kept losing to Rhydon luck. So I wasted a ton of time there, and it just felt terrible to lose the final attempt. So I stopped for the night, and, well, I guess that was it. Until the next day, when I decided to reenact the battle. Now, I went ahead and artificially leveled up my Marowak to level 88. And as you can see here, I'm actually level 89. That's because I lost 3 times in a row to Rhydon luck. Wouldn't you know it? But, yeah. Some strange things to note, though, is that, for some reason, I am faster than the Moltres, which I wasn't before. And a few things aren't quite the same, like, I'm pretty sure I leveled from level 88 to level 89 in that attempt that I won. And right here I actually get paralyzed, which didn't happen before as well. But I just wanted to end this on a good note. That wasn't so sad. Anyway, let's go ahead and go over Marowak's stats throughout the game. It finished the game at 10 hours, 29 minutes, and 12 seconds at level 89. And fainted 41 times, 19 of those being to Greevil. So, yeah, that wasn't very good. I think had I leveled up more strategically throughout the game, I definitely could have done better. But also about 20 minutes of that time, 40 minutes for the real time, were just spent gambling on Rhydon luck. Despite that, I'm going to put it at the top of B tier above Minerva, because I think throughout the entire game, Marowak is consistently good. It's really only the final boss and Snattle and Ardos that give it any real trouble, and that's mainly because of its quite low speed stat, honestly. I think had it been faster, or I had had a plus speed nature, I definitely could have done better throughout this run, but the fact that it gets outsped by so many Pokemon means that it's just taking a lot of damage throughout basically any fight. And a few of these fights just showed just how strong taking multiple attacks are. So, with that, I think it deserves the top of B tier, because even still, it did fairly well. I don't think it's as good as Omastar though, so I think that's just about it. Happy spooky month. We're going to keep it rolling with more spooky Pokemon. I don't know. I'm going to try to keep them somewhat within the confines of Halloween aesthetic, but I'm not sure if I'm going to actually do that all the time. Anyway, with that, If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing. If you got any Pokemon suggestions, please put them down below. I'll be sure to look at them and eventually get to them. And with that, bye.